What if I told you that the early Christian church was nothing like the peaceful, organized religion we might imagine today? What if I told you the first Christians kept a secret so dangerous it could have gotten them killed instantly? And here is a question to hold on to until the end. What was the one shocking truth that the early church protected at all costs? Picture this. There were no grand basilicas, no priests in ornate vestments, no massive altars. The earliest Christians met in hidden homes, underground rooms, even cemeteries. Every single meeting carried the risk of arrest, or worse, death. The Roman Empire saw this new religion as a dangerous threat, not because the Christians were violent, but because they refused to do one simple thing: worship the emperor as a god. For that act of defiance alone, they were hunted. But here's the twist. The more they were hunted, the more their numbers grew. Christianity exploded across the empire, not through force of arms, but through the power of stories. Stories of a man who healed the sick and gave sight to the blind. Stories of a teacher who welcomed slaves, women, the poor, everyone that Roman society had cast aside. And most powerful of all, stories of a man who died a criminal's death and then rose again. This message of hope spread faster than Rome could ever hope to contain it. And yet, even within the church itself, things weren't always peaceful. Different communities had different ideas. Some argued that Jesus was just a great prophet, while others insisted he was divine. Some communities were loyal to Peter, others to Paul. Some wanted to reject the Old Testament entirely, while others defended it with passionate intensity. It wasn't one big, happy, united group. It was a battlefield of beliefs, all struggling to define the heart of this new faith. By the year 100, nearly all of the original apostles were dead, and their ends were brutal. Peter was crucified upside down. Paul was beheaded. Thomas was speared. Andrew was bound to a cross for days, preaching until his last breath. You would think this would be the end, that the movement would collapse without its leaders. But it didn't. Instead, the church built something new. A structure, a community, a chain of leadership stretching from the apostles to the bishops and teachers who followed them. Every martyr became a spark, and every death added fuel to the fire. The empire wanted Christianity to simply disappear, but instead, it was becoming unstoppable. Here's something many people don't realize. The early church also used codes and symbols to survive. You've probably seen the fish symbol, the ichthys. It wasn't just a decoration, it was a secret password. If a Christian met a stranger, they might draw one arc of the fish in the sand. If the other person completed the symbol, they knew they were in the company of a fellow believer. The rituals of bread and wine. To outsiders, the whispers about eating the body and drinking the blood led to strange and sinister rumors. Some even accused them of cannibalism. Christians risked everything to celebrate the Eucharist in secret. They weren't just hiding from Roman soldiers. They were protecting something far more important. Something they refused to let the world corrupt or destroy. So now, back to the question from the beginning. What was the one shocking truth the early church protected at all costs? Here it is. That Jesus Christ was not just a great teacher, not just a prophet, but the Son of God who truly, physically rose from the dead. Think about it. If that central claim wasn't true, none of their suffering would make any sense. If it was just a nice story, nobody would willingly face torture and death for it. If the resurrection was a lie, the early church would have crumbled under pressure and disappeared into the footnotes of history. But it didn't. It survived persecution, it overcame internal division, and it changed the world. All because those first Christians believed with every fiber of their being that the resurrection wasn't just a story. It was reality. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this journey into the past as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. See you in the next video.